Hello everyone, Gainer here from HDB Upgrading Strategies, and welcome back to my Facebook Live. And actually today is my episode 19. But before I actually start, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to all the parents, especially all the fathers. In fact, I just had my Father's Day dinner, and after that, right away, I rushed back to my office to do this Facebook Live for you guys. Now, what am I going to share with you guys today? I think today is something really very interesting because recently I met a lot of parents, and especially for the mothers, right? And one of their biggest concern is that they are getting themselves, want to get themselves, their kids especially, ready for their primary one registration, and that's why indirectly they are also very concerned with buying the properties that are around there. So that's why today's my topic is this. I know this will be something that is very interesting to a lot of parents, which is preparing your kid for primary one registration, and you are trying to find a property that is within one click, or probably I missed this out, it could be also 2 clicks, so within 1 or 2 clicks. So I know you guys are streaming in to watch this Facebook Live, and I think for this is actually a very interactive thing. If you guys have any concerns or inquiries, just feel free, just have to comment something, let me know, and if I can, I will definitely help you guys to answer. But of course, the topic is definitely related to properties, right? Because today's topic is really about this. A lot of parents are very keen about what type of properties that they should be looking for, especially when they are trying to register their kids for the primary one registration, right? So why this topic today? Now, in fact, I met a lot of my clients, and somehow or rather it seems that I met quite a lot that are trying to get themselves prepared to register their kids for the P1 registration. And I know that there are some concerns, especially some worries. Now, in fact, maybe I can just highlight one that is recently I met. Now, he wanted to register their kid, their kid to this school, Tao Nan. Now, if you guys know where is Tao Nan Primary School, is actually at Marine Parade, right? So, what is the problem? Actually, there's no problem, but what is the real problem with the properties, right? In fact, if you really look at it, the property prices around that school is really, really very expensive. Now, I actually did some, I actually printed out some transactions, and I just want to give you an example of this few transactions. Now, for example, this is a property at Grand Duchess. Now, if you really see the property, to own a property Grand Duchess that is around this size, now if you guys can see, probably a 3 bedroom lah, 1044. I'm not too sure whether this is a 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom, but if you can really see their sizes, right, they are huge, and it can cost up to 2 over million, right? This probably might be a 3 bedroom, right, which is 1,400 over square feet, and it costs you around 2.2 million, right? And that is 12th of February this year, right? So these are the prices to own a property, right, at that area, which is I think 1 kilometer near to Tao Nan Primary School, right? I also extracted another one more, which is slightly cheaper, which is the Sound. The Sound is also within that location, right? So if you can see, if let's say for this example, 829 square feet, can you guys see 829, right? It will cost you around 1.35, which is a 2 bedroom. A 2 bedroom there will cost you around 1.35 over million. Now, recently I also met another client who I think he's also looking at the area. In fact, he's looking close, a little bit further away, which is all the smaller developments, and their 3 bedroom can cost them, in fact, very, very cheap. But the size is really too small, so they have a lot of big concerns about all these things, right? So that's why this is one of the issue, right, which I want to share with you guys, right? In fact, there are a few problems that we are looking at now, right? Example, property prices are too expensive, and whether you can afford. For example, if now you are staying in a 4-room HDB flat, maybe in Punggol, which if you are going to sell, maybe it will cost you what, 400,000-500,000, and for you to sell that place and come to get a school, to get a good school that is around Tao Nan area, to buy a property there will cost you around 1.5 million for probably a 2 bedroom, stuff like that, right? Now, here comes another thing which I think that this is also a problem. Now, even if you can afford, meaning to say you sell a HDB, your salary, you have a good salary, right? You can afford for such property prices. Now, the biggest question from me is that, are you actually buying the right property? Right? Especially we are looking there is mostly a lot of resale properties. So the biggest question for me, I think for today is, would you be buying the right property investment? Right? So I want you guys to probably think, what is the biggest question that I as a parent, now what can I do and what should I do? So if you go to the website at the MOE website, right? MOE website, which I actually extracted out, we just have to see what is the one of the criteria for you to register your kid to a good school. And what was the criteria? Now I actually went to MOE website. I think the it's a little bit small, but if you can really look at this, let me see if I can adjust, right? Which I think is this, right? Can you guys see? How is the 30 months stay requirement period applicable to my son's P1 registration? So meaning to say, if you really look at it, you probably just have to stay in the property that you own, right, for 30 months. What is 30 months? It's like two and a half years, right? So the 2.5 years or the 30 months, right, starts when your child got registered, right, successfully got registered according to the requirement, which is you probably register your son based on the 1 kilometer or the 2 kilometer within the school, and you are able to get in. So you got to stay in that place, in the address that you have registered for 30 months, which is 2.5 years, right? That is probably what you need to do, right? So just take note, 30 months. Now, so what is really important? Now I want to share with you this thing, right? Because for me, from my own perspective, if you really look at it, right, what is the criteria is 30 months. 30 months is the criteria for your primary 1 registration. And because of this, because you guys wanted to, register within the 1 to 2 click, you probably bought a property. And this can be a huge investment. So I want you guys to really understand where I'm coming from. Now, because this is 30 months, but because of this 30 months criteria, you have to stay at that place, right? If your kid successfully got registered into that good school, you have to stay for 30 months. But because of this 30 months, you actually bought a property, and thus you actually put a huge investment into this place. So the biggest question is, is this a good investment? Is this a good investment, right? In fact, I shared with a lot of my clients, and I just wanted to highlight to them what are the options that I feel that can be viable for them. And that's why today this is the topic that I want to share with you guys, which is, have you guys actually thought about this thing called renting? Now, so for this video, if you really you guys look at it, for just a 30 months, right, is it worth it to buy a property investment that can be a huge property investment? You probably may not buy a good, so it can be a bad or good investment, right? But what I suggested to my client is actually, if they can consider renting a place which is within 1 to 2 clicks. And honestly speaking, if you really look into renting, it can be really, really flexible. Especially for those, I think this year a lot of parents who are going for their pre-on registration, if you did not thought about buying yet. In fact, if you really look at it, I'll be putting the link, the MOE, the link, for the criteria. I think you have got to do it within 3rd of July. You have to register on 3rd of July, which probably, if you want to buy a property now, may or may not be too late, right? And you may consider renting, right? That's why I think renting probably can be a good option for you guys, which, you know, for me personally, you don't have to rush to buy, because I think this is a huge investment. So looking at it, renting can be a viable option. Then here comes the thing. Now I'm very sure that you guys might be asking me this, right? Right? So Gainer, now you're asking me to rent a place. Isn't it renting, the cost can be very high? Right? Isn't if I'm doing a renting, the cost is high for me? So now it depends on a lot of individual. Now I met some of my clients that actually own a HDB flat, right? So if I'm not wrong, this can be quite popular to a lot of people as well. They actually rent out their HDB because most of them, their HDB can be fully paid. So whatever rental that they receive, right, is full cash. So they can use this to subsidize the rental of this place, right? Or there will be another option. Now you also can look this as an opportunity for you, meaning to say you might want to rent a place here which is near to the good school, right? And you might want to consider if you can, you know, probably swap your asset to a better performing asset. So there are a few ways of how you can look at it, rather than straight away you, because of this criteria of your kids registration, you buy a property around there which can be very expensive or probably may not be a good investment. So you might be rushed to buy in this. So what I'm saying is that you probably can look into renting, and that's why you have a few options. You can rent out your current property so that you can subsidize the cost because you're renting this place. Or you can also look into selling your current property and see if you can use these funds to purchase another property investment which makes sense, and you can probably rent a place here. So either way, I think quite a few options for you guys to look at it, rather than the very conventional way of, you know, just straight away just buy a property, you know, within a one click, you know, and then stay there for, you have to stay a minimum of 30 months, right? But because you purchase, you know, there isn't a way for you to probably exit until your kids finish the primary 6, you know, which is you have to stay for 6 years, right? You know, stuff like that. Now, I even advise my clients that even if you decided eventually to buy a property within that area, what you can do is that you can rent for 30 months first, and then you can slowly take your time to find the right property around that area, something that makes sense to you, something that in terms of budget is probably within your budget, and something you can afford, rather than rush things over. Because at the end of the day, it's still a property investment to you. Although I do understand that it's your home for stay, right? Now, remember one thing I have to share with you. Now, probably you could have already made money in your first property, which is a HDB, or probably you have made money in your private property, first property purchase. Now, by doing so, you are buying another property within the school. You may probably make a wrong investment choice, and because of that, you actually put all your profits that you have gained from the first property, and probably, you know, you probably might lose quite a fair bit of that profits in your second property purchase, just because you want to fulfill this criteria. So at the end of the day, I just want to say that you guys probably have to think it through, see which option would probably be a much better option for you guys. Don't have to rush to buy something. At the end, you can just probably rent a place and take your time to decide, right? Thank you, Gary, for watching. Thank you, Shirley and Richard, for watching. Thank you so much. Now, in fact, I hope that this topic really can be of interest to you guys, especially for those parents that are, you know, this year especially registering, you know, your kids for the primary one. And that's why I think property investment is so important, buying the right one. If you can't decide, probably at the end of the day, what I'm going to suggest to you guys is you may consider renting a place first while taking your time to decide. At the end of the day, being patient, especially for property investment, is so important. Right? With that, if you guys, you know, don't have any questions or queries, I probably will end this video. This video, I probably will send you the link of the, you know, primary 1 registration, that criteria, so that it's much easier for you guys to straight away click the link and go to there to check it out. With that, thank you so much, and happy Father's Day, and good night.